What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. As you guys can see, I'm here in the garage. We're gonna be working on my F80 today, and I've actually got a cool little mod for you guys. This is kind of a 2-for-1 because we're gonna be installing a color matched start stop button as well as color matched M1, M2 buttons that are all going to be in Grigio Telesto Pearl Metallic. So let's get to it. Of course, she's finally looking all clean here in the garage. Just spent all day cleaning her up and putting this new PSM front lip on from Keys Motorsports. But for today, this video, we're gonna be installing these. And so these are color matched to Grigio Telesto. And no, these are not from IND distribution because IND actually doesn't do any color matching for some reason. So I actually found a company called Carbon Culture. And they're actually based in Europe. Excuse the terrible lighting in the garage. That's something that I need to work on and get some new lights, but these look incredible. If you guys don't follow Carbon Culture on Instagram, you definitely need to check him out because he does IND quality type work and he does all kinds of different things, and one of them is going to be this, so color matched buttons. He also does like what IND does, the roundels with the black on the outside. He can even do custom quadrants. You know, he could make these Grigio Telesto instead of the blue. And so he does all kinds of stuff, carbon work. The man is incredible, and I highly recommend buying something from him if you're looking to do something completely custom like this. He also does, you know, interior work, you know, steering wheel type trims, you know, carbon interior trim, that sort of stuff. So this is the Instagram page, Carbon Culture UK. Definitely go check them out. Owner's super, super nice. The quality of work is just incredible. I mean, this is just insane to me. Look at this. So it's like really custom stuff here. Like I said, roundels, spoilers, all kinds of really, really cool stuff here. Badges, look at this. Engine covers in carbon, seat backs, interior trim. This guy does incredible work, and I think this is really gonna set off the interior. I don't wanna do too much on the interior because my interior is secure orange. So, you know, I could have done red or something like that, but wanted to go a little bit different. So these are the stock buttons in here, obviously. Black, you know, black M1, M2 buttons, black start button down there. So, you know, I think it's gonna pop it a little bit just if I add a little bit of custom touches inside of here, nothing too crazy. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get this install going. All right, so we're gonna start here with removing the OEM button. So I've got some trim tools here. You can do this a couple different ways. I've seen people, you know, take some sticky tape and put it on here and just literally rip the thing out. I don't like to do that. Run the risk of breaking the stock parts, and I just would rather take my time and do it my way. So that my way is going to involve kind of prying this out. So got a couple different trim tools here. This one's more of like a wedge trim tool, almost like fingernails. So you kind of have to do multiple sides here at once. Let's see if I can get the top here. Just kind of go all the way around it. Kind of at the same time, there's a couple of retaining clips that hold this into place, which I'll show you here. So you can see there's a retaining clip here on the top, one here on the bottom here, and one over here. So there's 3 of these. And once you get it out just like this, what we need to do is unplug it. So just squeeze it, unplug, let that dangle there. And now we can take this physically to the table and take this apart. Pretty easy. And just so you guys can see, here's a comparison of the stock OEM one in black versus the Carbon Culture UK in Grigio Telesto. Very, very cool. For the next steps of the install, or the uninstall rather, get yourself a small flathead screwdriver, something like this, or even something that you would use on a set of eyeglasses or something like that. There are 6 of these plastic tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to pry all 6 of those up kind of all at the same time. Just need to be very careful because these are plastic and you don't want to break this. So kind of pry up a little bit all the way around. And what that's going to do is release the backing plate here. See how I'm just kind of taking my time. Just like that. All the way around until and this is also where, multiple tools can come in handy. Just like that. There we go. And that pulled the whole back off. So this is the button with the backing plate off of it. The tricky part here is you're going to need to get 2 flathead screwdrivers basically. So there's a little tab here and a little tab here. You need to very, very gently push those 2 tabs over. So what I mean by that is if you look at the new button here, you'll see these are the tabs that I'm referring to. And so you just need to move it over just enough, flex it just enough on both of them, and that will pop the button out. If you go too hard, you run the risk of breaking these. So you gotta be really careful, and you need to do both of them kind of at the same time, one on each side, in order to release the button. Okay, so put one in there, just like so. And then I'm gonna use a Phillips on this side to kind of prop this up. Might take you a couple tries, so I've got this side loose and this side's almost loose. There you go. So once you got them kind of like that, it should fall out on its own. If not, you can just poke it in the middle and it'll come right out. So just like that. So this is the stock and the new one. Putting the new one back in is as simple as taking it out. Just need to line it up and make sure you have it in the correct orientation, like so, obviously. Push it until it clicks on. If it doesn't click on, you might have to kind of move it around a little bit until it clicks on itself. There it goes. Yep. I just want to make sure that's on. Yep, we're good. All right. So both are clicked into place, and that's pretty much good to go there. So now all I need to do is reinstall the backing plate here. And so it just goes right back on in the same orientation that you took it off. Click it all into place. Test your button. And this is ready for reinstall. Last step here, reinstall. Make sure your button's clicking okay. Just want to make sure that you are putting this in the correct orientation. It only goes in one direction. Make sure it clicks into place. And then you can just push it right back in. Boom, there you go. Test it, make sure everything turns on. Everything turns off. Good to go. And it, of course, lights up as it should. Easily readable. Looks good, looks good. Operates just as it should. All right, like I said, this is gonna be multiple installs on this video. So now we're gonna be working on the M1, M2 buttons here on the steering wheel. So those are the stock black ones right there. So this install is going to be a little bit more involved, and what I mean by that is that we actually have to remove the airbag in order to get to those buttons, in order to get them out. So when you're screwing with the airbag, you don't want that to explode in your face. So the smartest thing to do here is to actually disconnect the negative terminal on the battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. All you need is a 10mm socket. So this is where your battery's located. If you didn't know that, 10mm socket here. Sorry for the terrible lighting. Just go ahead and disconnect, and you can pull up on the negative terminal here. Power's gonna go out in the car, so you wanna make sure that you are putting a towel or something in between the negative terminal and the battery itself. Otherwise it's gonna kick back on. Also, do not close your trunk. If you close the trunk, you're gonna be in a world of trouble. So now that we have that off, we can work on the airbag. So in order to remove the airbag, down here, it's a little bit easier than e-chassis. You'll see that there's a hole here. There's two holes, not to be mistaken with the top one. The bottom one is to help remove the airbag. There's one here and one on the opposing side. You need to take a tool or a long screwdriver, poke inside of there and feel around for kind of a release spring. And when you push the spring, it'll release this side of the steering wheel, and then you come from the other side and do the same thing on the other side, and it'll release that side of the steering wheel. All right, so I've got a skinnier Phillips. Let's see here. All right, so you kind of need to feel around for a spring, release spring. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's a little bit hard to tell until you experience it. All right, so now I'm trying a smaller flathead. So you kind of got to feel around for a spring. There we go. If you don't know what you're feeling for, the first couple times it's kind of weird to find, but this is like the e-chassis as well, only they have an actual hole here, whereas the e-chassis just had like a little slit in the leather. So this eliminates the question of where it is. So once you get one side, just do the same thing on the other, and it comes right out. So just like that, I can show you where those go, but what I'm gonna do now is actually unplug. There we go. So there's a little Romex plug right here. You just need to push this tab down and it will release the entire thing. So that just pops right out, but basically, this prong here and one here goes inside of a little spring clip, and so when you put this through here, there's a small channel that the screwdriver travels through, and it pushes against that spring. So just to show you guys what I'm talking about, you'll see this hole here and this hole here. That is for these. So those slide inside of there. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my screwdriver through this hole, travels behind this little channel, and it will actually push the release spring. Oh, too far, so you got to feel around for it. So you can see I'm pushing on it. When it's in the channel, it's pushing on that spring and it releases the side. See that? So it's doing it there, and then you do it on this side, same thing, and it pops out this side and then this side. So now that we have that out, what we can do, we need to get a Torx and release some of this. All right, so what we need to do now at this point is, in order to access the buttons over here, we need to take this little Y trim piece off of here. So in order to do that, we take a Torx T20, remove this screw here, and then the screw on this side as well. So once you've got that screw removed, that screw removed, there's a third one back behind here. So on the opposite side of the steering wheel, there's a hole that is also a Torx T20. So go ahead and remove that one as well. Here are the 3 screws that I just removed. Just FYI, the little black one here is for the bottom, and then the 2 silvers are for the top. One over there, one over there. So now, put those in a good place. Put them in my cup holder there. Now we should be able to actually remove the center trim piece here. So this is just clipped into place, so you can just grab it, kind of pull it out, just like so. There we go. So it is taped on here down on the bottom a little bit, but you can pull that right off, no problem. So now we have this trim piece off. This is also a good time to swap this if that's what you're wanting to do. And if you're wondering, since to get this panel out, there's actually a screw hole behind this part of the steering wheel. That's how you actually release this whole panel. If you're wondering if you can just unscrew this, why are you taking all these parts and pieces off? Why don't you just unscrew this from the back? You actually cannot do that. You cannot get this module out without removing this trim piece because it blocks this whole section right here. So now you need to use a T20, same one as before. We're going to turn the steering wheel a little bit so we have a little bit of space. And then we can finally access the back here using my T20, and we can unscrew that screw. All right, this is the only screw that's holding this little piece in. So it's kind of a little bit awkward to get to. I think I've got it out. Yep. Cool. So now you should just be able to grab this piece and pull it right off just like that. As you guys can see, there are now 3 of these small Phillips screws right here. Go ahead and take all 3 of those out, and then the front of this whole panel will come off. FYI, those are really small screws, so do not lose those. I have all my screws in my cup holder over there, but this is the 3rd and final one that I've unscrewed. And so now this whole front comes completely off. We can bring this over to the table. Okay, so we are removing M1, M2. Here are the new ones, just for reference, right there. And so we're gonna flip this directly over. And just like the start button, start button, there are those little tabs that we need to remove. So if you look at this M1 button here, you'll see that we've got a little tab here on one side and a tab on the opposite side. So we need to release both of those in order to get it out. So I've got 2 screwdrivers here, once again, just to help me here if I need it. But these should fall right out after you release them. So you kind of got to play with it a little bit. All right, so I've released one of them. And it's the same thing. You'll kind of see what I'm doing here, hopefully. I'm kind of propping this side up and getting it down. And then doing the same thing on the other side. Might be easier to get one going here, and then I'm going to use this little trim tool. Here we go. There we go. All right, so that took a little bit of time, but a bit of trial and error and just being patient. Comes right off. So that was M1, M2. So the new ones just pop right into place, which is a lot easier. So M1 on top. Push it in until it clicks in. M2, push it in, lining everything up. Push it in until it clicks into place. And just like that, now we can go back to the car, reinstall. At this point, we can go ahead and reinstall everything. So just reverse the order. So go ahead and reinstall your 3 little Phillips screws. Put those all back into place. Just make sure you don't over tighten because it is plastic. All right, So that's good to go. There's our button. We can go ahead and put this back in. So this should just slide into place here. Then you can reinstall your Torx 20 on the back. All right, so at this point I've got this screwed back into place, and now I can go ahead and put my trim piece back on. So this will just go right back into its spot. Just like so. Clips right in, and then go ahead and reinstall those 3 screws. And remember, the black one goes on the very bottom, on the back side. So once again, these are T20s, one on each side here on the top in silver. Looking at it now, it would have been cool to do this in Grigio Telesto as well, but here we are. Screw this bottom one in. Make sure your buttons click as well. Just for some reason, if they don't, now's the time to check that. All right, and then finally we can plug our airbag back in. Goes one direction, Molex plug. Go till it snaps into place, and then you just want to line this back up. Simply push it on both sides, and then we can reconnect our battery, and our install is done. All right guys, so that's the install. There are the buttons. Sorry for the dog, I accidentally hit the horn and now she's going crazy. So here are the M1, M2 buttons in Grigio Telesto, and the start button down here in Grigio Telesto. Very subtle upgrade. I think it's really, really cool though. I think I should have done the steering wheel trim there also in Grigio. I think that would have been cool too, but I do have the silver, obviously, you know, around the vents and down here, so I don't know, it works out. I think it's subtle enough that it's different. Plus, you know, how cool is that to have it in color matched Grigio Telesto and match the paint on the outside of the car. So okay, ladies and gentlemen, that just about does it for today's video. You got a 2-for-1 on both the M1, M2 buttons and the start stop button. So again, those are from Carbon Culture UK. Definitely go check them out. Pretty simple install. If you guys haven't done something like this before, it's pretty easy. Just take your time and be careful with those plastics because they are very, very thin and flimsy, and you do not want to break those. So highly recommend them. If you guys want to check them out, please do so. Let me know if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.